Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Books Up Close. It's really good to be with you. This episode we are going to be talking about Andrea Lawlor's 2017 novel Paul Takes the Form of a Mortal Girl. So like Freshwater that we talked about in the last episode, this book is a strange, queer, odd, interesting novel that I think everyone should read. So it's published by Andrea Lawlor, who took 15 years to write this novel, apparently, alongside teaching creative writing. So the book is written by Andrea Lawlor, who is non-binary and uses they, them pronouns. They call themselves trans-ish, which I think is a really good term, and really hits at the heart of this book, which is about gender, which is about identity, about who we are in the world. So Lawlor had published some poetry before, but this is their first novel, and I think it's a really interestingly shaped and formed novel. So much to say about it. So the book is set in 1993 and follows the character of Paul as he travels around the country having sex with various people. So he goes from Iowa to Provincetown and Chicago and eventually to San Francisco. So it's a kind of roving, picaresque kind of story as we follow Paul as he meets people, drinks, has lots of sex, gets into really interesting situations. But underlying all of this is the fact that Paul can shapeshift, can move between bodies, whether that's gendered or sexed. So he can change his anatomy at will, but he can also change his physicality at will. So it's not just that he can remove his penis and form breasts and a vagina, but that he can change his whole physicality. So he can be a more butch man in some scenarios and grow his muscles and change the size of his body and how he inhabits himself. So this book is as much about gender as it is about how we inhabit our bodies, how we twist them and contort them. So the novel follows Paul as he goes through these adventures. One of the longest sequences is in the middle when he meets someone called Diane. At this point, Paul is poly. And they go to the Michigan Women's Music Festival, which is a strictly female-only, in quote marks, event. And this causes various kinds of anxieties and issues. But the book is so delicately written, it is so full of nuance that at no point do you feel like this is an exercise in kind of gender theory, even though queer theory is at the heart of this book and kind of underlines it in so many ways. But this is a really tenderly written book that's really attentive to the flesh, to the body, to desire, to want and need, and all the intricacies that come with that. So obviously there are a few forebears to this project, thinking of Ovid's Metamorphoses as well as the more obvious Virginia Woolf's novel Orlando. But Lawlor has also said that they were informed by Octavia Butler's Wild Seed, which has some interesting shape-shifting characters, although within a different kind of context, more to do with race. However, there are these kind of literary antecedents to the project, and I think Paul Takes the Form of Mortal Girl builds on those works and does something really different and interesting with them. It's a very readable book. You kind of fly through the pages really easily. One of the best bits I think of the book is the final section when we end up in San Francisco with Paul and really throws us into this queer hub, right? That is still the city that we think of as being the kind of queer heart of the United States. The book is great on all of the kind of dailiness of queer life. So thinking about subcultures and particular spaces and ways of knowing, ways of looking at one another that queer people will know. It's really good at detailing the kind of textures of queer life in all kinds of spaces, like diners and bars and bookshops and clubs and parks and streets and alleyways and all kinds of spaces that really just immerses you in the story and in the world of the book. So obviously, as I say, it's indebted to queer theory and queer literature, but it does so in a very celebratory way. So it will mention Michel Foucault and Judith Butler and various other people, and it's kind of thrown in, but it's not done in a overly learned or preachy way. It's done in a really beautiful, fun, way that shows how deeply invested contemporary queer life is in work from the past. So the book is set in 1993, but it kind of builds on a really long tradition of queer activism, queer thinking, queer nightlife, queer gathering. This is a book that celebrates the existence of LGBTQIA plus people in a way that is not alienating, that is inclusive in every possible way. And the book doesn't shy away from homophobia and racism and classism and other kind of intersectional ideas. It's a really enjoyable, thoughtful, and ultimately optimistic book as well, I think. And initially when I read it, I thought it was really good, but maybe not perfect. But the more that time I've spent away from it, the more I've thought about it, the more I've reflected on it, I actually think it's pretty astounding. And for that reason, I'm giving this 5 out of 5, mainly because I think it's so well written and so enjoyable, but also so thoughtful, but also because I really want this book to be really widely read, so I want everyone to go and get a copy somehow. I understand that everyone is in lockdown at the point of recording this video, so buy it from your local bookstore if they're doing deliveries. Get it from other places, don't go to the big giants, you know who I'm talking about, and find this book somehow, or get the ebook version, it's on Kindle, all those kind of things. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like it, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, do all of those things, but please do comment and let me know what you thought of the book. Do you have any questions about it? Are there any thoughts you had? Are there any chapters or scenes that you want to explore further? I'd really like to talk about them with you. So thanks for watching. I hope you are doing well and take care.